take 4. All right. Recap of all of Helluva Boss, because Sinsmas just came out on the 21st. Anyways, if you have a problem with series that cover hell, anything that is violent, sexually oriented, or like morally problematic, this is not a series for you. If you have a problem with that, just don't pay attention to it. The more attention you pay to it, the more chance you come into running into it. And you can hate whatever you hate, but the more you vocalize it or do anything about it, like hate watching a show, will just make it more popular. You're giving, more eyes on stuff because you said something. And then the only 2 problems I've heard about this show is, one, the oversaturation of reds because it is hell. You can probably say same thing with like heaven stuff with like white and gold. That being oversaturation of use. You like whatever you like. I think it's pretty nice. Not a lot of people can draw nor create the things that this series has. And then if you're Christian or have like a high religious side, I understand things like this, Supernatural, Lucifer. It is very bad. Like, it looks pretty bad because they kind of put things like people like Lucifer in a better light. Like, for example, Lucifer is actually willing to help people in the Lucifer series. Like, yes, there's his, like, sinful behaviors and stuff, but as the show goes on, he gets more familiar with humans, starting to actually be nice and try to play along with them. He falls in love with a woman, and all that, and they put him in a good light where he's a chance to be God, and for the most part, he is seen as a rejected person of his family, and that kind of things is what people who have religious backgrounds are not liking of these shows, because it's like you can badmouth heaven saying that they're hypocrites or something, or like Lucifer can be an actual good guy. It's just he's misunderstood, and that's the problems with people that have religious backgrounds that might have a problem with this show. Now that kind of is... Now the warning is over. I'm also going to be spoiling stuff, so if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the show. I'm going to be talking about every single episode, kind of covering what they majorly added to the show. Okay, moving on, we had a few things explained about the show. This is in the same universe as the Amazon Prime show Hazbin Hotel, created by Vivzy-Pop, who is the YouTube channel that releases these episodes. But because Amazon owns the rights to Helluva Hazbin Hotel, they can't properly cross over and confirm stuff. Yes, they have little hints of that they are in the same universe, but like you'll never see like Angel Dust or Charlie or the Lucifer of that universe come to Helluva Boss without them making some kind of like legal paperwork that they can show up in one episode or so. Or make a deal like Marvel and Sony do with like Spider-Man. Is like, Spider-Man can show up in this show if you give us the rights to like one character for a Spider-Man movie. That kind of stuff. But anyways, let's get into the actual like understandings that we have. A few things that we don't but have like a slight understanding of is that we don't know what deeds you have to do to be sent to heaven or hell. At first, it's like, is it a problem to have a different sexualities than straight? Is it a problem to do this action, that action? And it's not said, and by the end of season 1 of Hazbin Hotel, it seems like no one knows. No one has a full understanding of what lines you need to cross to be sent down, or what lines you need to stay above to go up to heaven. But we do get like a slightly understanding that as long as you do some broad things, you might be able to go up. But anyways, that's how it's like. It's an undetermined way of things. moving on to the setting. So we're in hell, but in my growing up with the being a Christian, there's two understandings of like hell being a hellscape that's just a burning flame pit with like torturous stuff from demons. But in this one, it takes I'm trying to remember what proper like subtag it is for the religion, but it's like they have the 7 rings of hell, which is basically pride is where the sinners, humans that have died and fell, this is where they are. The domain is ruled by Lucifer. While he's the king of hell, he's also the sin of pride. And we get an understanding that all other hellborn is able to move between the rings, but sinners are stuck in the pride ring. And another thing that's a small little like fun fact is that sinners cannot reproduce while hellspawn can. So basically, sinners are stuck here for all of eternity without, indulging in the sins that they've committed and kind of just existing until something happens. While hellspawn can do a full-on life cycle and start a new life and all that with others. And then the other 6 rings they're allowed to move across, which I'm pretty sure is sloth, lust, wrath, gluttony, greed, and I can't remember the other one. I'm trying to remember what she is. But anywho, all of them have their own little domains. It is understood that Beelzebub is gluttony, Mammon is greed, Asmodeus is lust, and we've been introduced to Satan from last episode, and he is the sin of wrath, but he's also the judge, jury, and executioner of most of hell's rules, and he is, at least to this point, the creator of the M-kind, and it is imposed that he also created other hellspawn. And it sounds like from episode 8 of the first season that him and the other sins are kind of sibling bonded. Like, they're not siblings, but they're of the same line of creation. And in episode 12, it's like hell has existed before Lucifer's fall, and Satan is the proper ruler of hell, but Satan has fallen when Lucifer fell. Yes, Satan and Lucifer are different people. Lucifer is the king of hell and all that because he's a holy being that fell, and he rules over the sinners that kind of follow his example, kind of. So he is in charge of the sinners and of the people that has been hotel, it kind of explains. But he has, like, no say-so over hellkind for the most part. Like, he has a say-so because he is a sin. But anyways, moving on to the actual things. The pilot is mostly the pilot is mostly explaining our characters. IMP, Immediate Murder Professionals, is a company started by Blitz, who is on this thumbnail. He is the boss of the company. He is one of the first ever imps to create his own company, because imps are the lowest of the low in terms of social ladder. He's also kind of the main character of the series. Like, we see things mostly through him. Like, other characters matter and they can be the star of an episode, but for the most part, we're getting a full-on story surrounding him and his relationships with everyone. And he's mostly seen in the pilot here as a person who doesn't care about what he does or what people think of him. He kind of is one of those people that just, I do whatever I do. And then we're meeting his employees, Moxie and Millie. They're a married couple. Moxie is like an uptight, high class person with marksman skills. And he has he's got a morally gray, like, yes, he has signed up for assassinations, which is what IMP is for, but he also has, like, when it comes to like families and kids and all that, he actually has some like emotional stopping power with that. Millie is kind of the opposite of him. Like, she will glaze Moxie all day long, as long as he doesn't piss her off, of course. But she is like, she can get triggered pretty easily, and she, when it comes to assassination, is out for the hunt. Then there's Luna, the adoptive hellhound daughter of Blitz, which is more of a secretary figure, and she's kind of like your emo goth furry bait, that's got a lot of attitude and has like some problems with everyone, and is kind of existent more than anything. And for this, mostly is just kind of getting an understanding of what we're about to see. And then with the only other character that really matters is Stolas and Stella, which is a married high class royalty known as the Goetias, which is they are of the Goetias, which is like a bird hellspawn that are royal figures. Stolas is a prince of hell. And he's in charge of, like, I would say astrology based things, like stars and the meteorites and all that. Like, he's got a huge knowledge and a lot of, like, responsibilities when it comes to outer space. That is from what we understand so far. But it's him and Blitz, Stolas and Blitz have sexual attention. In the pilot here, they have an affair. Blitz did it so we can get the book that is like the reason for Stolas' duties. And it has a lot of magical spells, which the only one he cares about is traveling between hell and the living world. But Stella learns within the pilot that Stolas had an affair. But that's kind of about it. That's all we kind of know. And then we're going to the shorts real quick. So, because I wanted to get these out of the way, because they don't worry too much about going into anything that develops characters in this one, but I wanted to at least get them out of the way. Short one, Hell Bells. It's basically Millie, here on the right, is a country girl that was born on a farm in Wrath. And she, when she became an assassin, she eventually moved out of the farm life, moved into freelancing and being a city girl. This leaves her responsibilities to her siblings, especially Sally Mae, which is her sister on the left. Sally Mae is a transgender female. If you look at the horns of the imps on the left, Sally has alternating colored horns, which shows that she is born a male, but has transferred her gender. And Millie on the right has almost all black horns with like small white stripes lining them. This is just to kind of tell the gender, and it doesn't matter too much. It's like a little, oh, that's cool that, this exists in hell. Later in episode 8, we do see a transgender male with black horns with a white lining, but it looks like a guy. It's like, if I didn't know that detail about the horns, I wouldn't have even thought of it like that. This short is mostly, ever since Millie left, her Sally Mae has been like taking the responsibility, the stress of not having her sister around, nor is there someone to lean on when it comes to that stuff. So when they have a girls' night out, it gets her pretty emotional. Just like, you don't worry about you don't come and do the farm work or anything. So it's pretty stressful. And it's mostly just a bonding episode for the two and saying that they'll support one another. Short 2, Mission Antarctica. This is just a job that IMP is hired to do. Apparently some scientists ran into the wildlife. It's like a misdirect. Originally it shows a snow puppy. I think it's a sea lion is what they show, but it turns out to be just a whole fleet of penguins that are very aggressive. The only thing in this episode that I say that is noteworthy is that Millie at the very end gets very sadistic in like blood, because Wrath is supposed to be like people who enjoy war and enjoy violence and death. Millie really shows how she's into that kind of characteristic of being from Wrath. Short 2, Mission Weeaboo. This is a solo Blitz adventure. This is kind of just like, well, they are hell beings, and for the most part, morals are thrown out the window for like standards. Like, yes, they live like any other society and have some morals and stuff of their own. But here it's like this girl is really into like Cthulhu and monster. She's a monster girl. And Blitz is like, I can get into, I am like very out of pocket, and I can get into some kinks, but Jesus, you take it too far. The only thing I'd say that is noteworthy in this short is that this little necklace she wears with the wings has the Star of David on, I believe, and it's noteworthy that it's a holy item. So even though it's supposed to be like a replica from a show or like a work she follows, it has the ability to repel demons, which stops Blitz from killing her, and he can't do anything to her unless that necklace is gone. Which means that if all humans got a hold of something similar to this, couldn't we all be protected by this world's hell spawns? Into what line, we don't know. It's just, this is a thing that has been shown but has not shown up since this short. And it's something that I'd say is noteworthy. Short 4, Mission Chupacabra. They head to, I think it is Mexico. And the Hispanic family, I'm sorry if I'm getting these details wrong. But basically they're able to pick up a fight. Blitz gets captured, suited up as a Chupacabra to be used as like a monster in a tank. Come see the monster. Not much in this one that matters. Like, I guess there's like goats, and like goat imagery is normally around demons and stuff. And one of them that helps Blitz escape becomes like a leader of a cult. Who knows, that might be something that might be noteworthy. But the only thing that really happens in this episode is, I think, episode 6. Yeah, episode 6, we run into a government branch that looks into demon instances. And in this one, it shows the two main agents we know. They don't just go forward. They don't just follow up on demon encounters. They also follow up on things like chupacabras, which are cryptids. So I think they are probably more of the unnatural world they look into. Moving on to the actual series, moving into season 1, we have Murder Family, which is the first episode. For the most part, this is just the job that IMP takes. The two things that we get set up here is that Moxie's like moral gray puts him in a bad spot here. So he has like, he doesn't want to kill off family, like little kids and a nice little family setting. well, like Luna and Millie are like, what if they have like bad intentions behind the mask? You wouldn't know until it's too late, or like it's a secret they hold on to. You won't know what they do. And what turns out is that the family that they're targeting, well, the mother at least, that entire family turns out to be murderers in disguise. Like the kids are into stuffing human bodies. Like they have like faces mounted and stuff, if I recall properly. And it's just a very sadistic family. So it's just like Moxie's moral ground is very. He thinks he's on the high ground, but it gets him in trouble. The only other thing I would say that matters in this episode is that Blitz in the middle takes a call from Stolas. Stolas kind of like goes back up on like, hey, I know you have my book. While yes, it is my duty to keep that safe and it is a part of my job, I will let you continue keeping it if you do two things. One, if I ask you to take someone out for me, like his example in this episode is someone who's doing research on global warming. He wants him to take out so that there's more chaos and more sinners. And then the other thing would be like, hey, I need it back for my duties every full moon. How about every time I need to get it back? I'll do my duty, you can have it back, but you need to do me a few favors in the bedroom. That's really about it, is basically Moxie's morals, and then Blitz and Stolas making a deal on their book. And then it does mention of like a thing that we didn't really care too much when it first came out, but it is illegal by Hell's standards to let someone take a royal peace thing like the book and go up to the world that has nothing to do with a normal job. Like succubuses, their whole job is to have humans lust over them and have that interaction, and it brings them down to hell. That is their job. But M's coming up and killing humans, that is not their job. Another thing that's like hinted at is that IMP was originally for Hellspawn to target Hellspawn, or maybe sinners that are already down there. Like I think there are some hired help that can take out overlords, which are like the sinners that are very powerful, or like royalty, like Stolas, or the sins. But after getting the book, they move on to sinners. Like, hey, if anyone had wronged you and you want revenge, I'll go up and kill them. We can't control where they go, though. And then episode 2 here is probably my favorite episode, Lululand, because it has one of the greatest intro songs. It's okay. Oh, you'll be okay, I think it is. For the most part, I think same thing with episode 1 is there's two. There seems to be two running things in each episode. In this one, we learn a little bit of Blitz's background, where it's like he used to work at the Lululand as a clown, but he turned out that he didn't do very good, and he moved on to his own thing. It wasn't his calling. And then the other thing is like, here's one of the instances where they try to do a crossover reference to Hazbin Hotel with Lucifer, and they have like a fun house version of him, just a little bit different, so it doesn't look exactly like him. But they mentioned Lucifer had made Lulu World, I think, which is spelled with U's, and Greed, Mammon basically made Lululand to rip it off. And then I say the biggest thing in this one is that Stolas and Stella, his wife from the pilot, have a daughter named Octavia. Basically, the Goetias have to get an arranged marriage, and this will they get forced into reproducing an heir. Once they have that heir, they don't have to worry about doing anything relationship-wise until that once the heir is born, which Octavia, once she was born, they acted like a couple just to kind of make the framed picture of a family happen. But once, now that Octavia is born, Stella starts showing her true colors, that she doesn't care for Stolas, and that she more likes the position of power that he gives her. And in this one, mostly it's like after the pilot, Stella kind of not overreacts, but she has her emotions going high from learning about the affair, especially the fact that it's an imp. Like I said, they are low, like the lowest of the low in terms of a social ladder. And that's kind of about it. We learn more about Stolas. He's not just he's still going to be a high class person, but yet he cares about plants. He cares about his daughter. He has a very sexual tension with Blitz. It's not just I will be using you as like a slave. It's more of just we are doing this little deal, so you get something out of it and I get something out of it. Normally, if it was just a normal thing, he'd be like, I'm going to get my book back, but I'm going to start using you without you getting anything out of it. That is how it would normally be. But anyway, that's kind of about it for episode 2. I'm going to have to try to hurry up a little bit. Episode 3, Spring Break. It's like we get little hints about Blitz because he's the main character. We're trying to set up the other characters, but Blitz is kind of like we get little bits of pieces from him. We don't want to get a full understanding of our main character yet, but yet getting little details. Like in this one, we learn that Blitz kind of gets everywhere. His DNA gets everywhere. And it turns out that he was in a relationship with a succubus who happens to be a very popular pop star. And she is an alcoholic. She's been into rehab. We mentioned that Blitz has a twin sister, Barbie Wire, in this one. But she's still in there because Veroska Mayday, I think is her name. She's popular, so she's able to get out. And unlike Blitz, who's using the book to get to the human world, Veroska is a succubus, and their job is to get up there and snatch some V cards and take some sins with them, along with some fluids. Anyways, they had a bad falling out. They were in a relationship. We don't fully know what happened, but basically it sounds like Veroska was in the relationship while Blitz was there for the sexual aspects. Once he started thinking he was done with it, he took her credit cards, spent them all. We learned that he's got a huge niche for horses in this one. I think we also, in background info, we learned that he has a horse, and I think it's the logo at the end is the Spindle Horse logo. I think that's Blitz's actual horse, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But basically, he left her with a bad taste in her mouth, and Blitz is the wrong. And then the only other thing we get a hint on is that Luna, the adopted daughter, she was only 8. She was about to be 18 when she was adopted, and we also realize that she has no social life with other people. So she gets into a flirty thing with the bodyguard Vortex for Veroska. He tells her that he's got a relationship with someone, but he still invites her out to go be social. The only other thing that is mentioned in this episode is that it's something that can be a problem if anything the alcohol that Veroska uses gets into the ocean and mutates a fish. If anything from hell affects anything that shouldn't be for their job, it can get them in trouble. And Luna and Veroska make it a point that Blitz and Co. They don't use outfits to hide and to like blend in, so just being their selves can get them in trouble. And Luna has a human disguise, and she's like, "You've been doing this without disguises. What the heck?" But that's really about it for episode 3. Is just a little bit more about the law, X relationship, getting a better understanding of how things work, and then getting an understanding of who Luna is. Episode 4, Cherubs, we get a little bit of hint at heaven here, which is basically heaven isn't worried about monies and stuff to get, as long as they get their "I've done a good thing today" kind of thing out of the way, they're happy. Cherubs are basically reverse of IMP, where they will be blessing people to save their lives upon loved ones of people who went to heaven. Which I do have to question. How did, like, they have an ad playing in hell for them? How does that work? How it's just like, if you're in the afterlife, you can see something from heaven and hell, no matter where you are. Like, what? Which would be confusing. Maybe they must have a very good spectrum package down in hell. Anyways, for the most part, it's just like get an understanding of what the cherubs are. Blitz, after episode 3, starts using disguises. They start doing like a back and forth battle about like vocally getting someone to die or saving their lives. I think the only thing that mattered in this episode was that if by any means a heavenly being is the reason for the death of an innocent or one that is not their target to do anything to, like if it's not your job to kill someone or take them out, you killing a human being just because of the subject of content, they are banished and they will fall. They're just kicked out. I don't think they fall, but because they still have their angelic stuff. But it's a nice thing to see that heaven has some rules, and they can't just be stuck there. Episode 5, we get to see what happened. Like, it's this is something that is extended upon in short 1. We go to Wrathring. Stolas is needing one of his biggest jobs. His duties is to show the true harvest moon for the Wrathring, so that they do a harvest. We get to meet Millie's family. We realize that Moxie doesn't have a very good relationship with any of the family because of his like Poindexter personality. We show that like Blitz is kind of a superior imp because he's tall. He's slightly tall. He's taller than most. He's also built stronger than most. And then the only other thing I'd really say is we get introduced to Stryker, which I'm sad that he's no longer voiced by Norman Reedus, but yet this was something that, like, you can't just have Norman Reedus stop his other projects to come and play some little imp in a show that pops up every now and again. He's not a main character, or he's not getting the same money he gets, like, from Walking Dead. So it's a little sad not hear his voice, but it was a good start for this character. Stryker turns out to be another hired assassin that wants to go out for a Stolas, and he is hired by Stella, the wife. And he's one of the higher things because he has something we learn in Has-Been Hotel, is that both angelic and higher leveled hell beings can be killed by things made from the metal of like heavenly metals. Like there's spears made out of like heavenly metal. They can melt them down into firearms. And that can kill most things that exist. And it's got to be a pretty penny. That's another thing, is they name drop one of the characters from Has-Been Hotel, which is like I'm trying to remember what it is. It's like Camilla. it's like they're a mob kind of thing, but their like whole shtick is making armories. They name drop the family in this episode. Episode 6, we've said this. It's basically a government realizes that there's someone out to kill people. They don't have an understanding of why, but they find them, get a little bit of information out of them. Because they get caught on camera, the government knows now that, you know, heaven and hell are a thing, and to avoid demons doing anything against people, they start like supplying like popes and weapons and all that to kill them. I'd say the only thing that really matters in this episode is Moxie and Blitz get a better relationship out of this one. Blitz between Vrosika, Fizzaroli, which turns out to be like an old friend of his that he betrayed his trust. Stryker, who he wanted to hire, but turns out that he was a backstabber. And then Stolas, because he's got something more than a sexual urge with Stolas. He's like, I want to be with Stolas, but yet I don't know if I'm getting used. So it's like he's got bad relationship issues. And then with Moxie, he's not assured of himself. And he rather worry about other people's opinions of him. And this is what Blitz is like. Don't care about what other people say. You do a good job. Do what you need to. Screw the people over. And, do your own thing. And do your job well. And then episode 7 and 8, we get introduced to the sins. Asmodeus, who's lust, and Beelzebub, who is gluttony. Asmodeus, it's basically in the ring of lust. It's all about having fun. And basically Moxie and Millie having a little date night. They go to Oz's, which is a very expensive place that it's reserved. And it's ran by the actual sin of Asmodeus. And then the only thing I'd say here is Stolas and Blitz have an actual proper date here. But it's not like, well, Stolas isn't there for the date. It actually shows that he's got more emotions than just sexual frustration for Blitz. But Blitz is trying to like investigate the relationship between Moxie and Millie and how well they work together. And how they're able to stay together. Because he, like in the last episode, he has problems having relationships. This doesn't matter between friend or other or partner. So he's trying to investigate them. That's why he's sticking around them. Of course, I think he thinks that they're actually attractive, and that adds to it. But it's revealed about Fizzaroli in episode 2. It's a Robo-Fizz. This is the real-life imp Fizzaroli, which gets a bit more emotional when it comes to like the idea of a betrayal. Asmodeus shows that he doesn't really care too much for... Well, it's like they're hypocrites. Fizz and Oz have a relationship. They don't get into... They say they don't like lovey-dovey stuff, but they do that kind of stuff behind closed doors. And yet again, they're hypocrites because they... After burning Blitz and Vrosik comes in to also burn him and say that he didn't reciprocate any feelings or any other things, any other actions. We're basically burning down Blitz, and then they come for Stolas because, he's going through a rough patch. He had an affair. He's losing his wife. He's putting himself in a bad look for royalty. And it kind of ends Stolas and Blitz having like an outs with each other because Stolas still cares about his image at this point because he wants to, be there for his daughter and try to keep his position and keep his, responsibilities. But yet he's trying to get out of the bad relationship he has with Stella. Episode 8 is literally either the same night or the next day. Here it's Luna following up from episode 3 with Vortex. They go to a social event at the Gluttony Ring. It's a party place ran by Beelzebub, who's a Hellhound B variant. And basically, Gluttony, eat a bunch of food, party hard. She's more of a good viber. And in this episode, she's more, unlike most, she still has high class mentalities. She is the girlfriend of Vortex, so she has a closer relationship with lower beings of hell. She's also more into making sure everyone has a good time and all that. And also she tries to be friends with Luna. She tries to get her into a hanging mood. After Luna kind of gets things wrong, she wants to run away. Blitz comes to try to get her like a good dad, but then people recognize Blitz, see him, he was a party harder, so they invite him back inside to kind of show off for his daughter. He goes in pretty hard, but because of his bad night with Stolas and getting burnt out by an ex-friend and ex-girlfriend, and getting publicly shamed, he's having a bad day, so he gets deep and drinks, and it basically makes it to where Luna's I really want him to stay having good face, so I have a good face, but yet she's okay, I can kind of see, and we see little breaks in her wall for Blitz of yes, this is my dad, and he does his own thing, and he has his good points, but yeah, she's also a tsundere for him a little bit, just you're not my dad, only when it matters, when you're trying to make you make me look cool, or do things good for me. And it's kind of just, it gets Luna having friends, shows that Blitz has a good reputation when it comes to parties, but yet he's in a bad patch emotionally. And we get to meet the two sins, and one is at least on the lower side. Moving on to season 2, episode 1. This is... Come on. Load. The circus. So in this thumbnail, we see a young Stolas in the beginning. It kind of revolves around that Stolas isn't just out of nowhere having a relationship with Blitz. It's that they were childhood friends, and while Blitz was bought from his family circus, which another thing is, before even Lululand, Blitz was at a family-made circus where he was a rodeo clown with Fizz Aroli, who was his best friend at the time, but Fizz was hitting it off as a clown. Well, Blitz wasn't. His father, the ringmaster, sold him off to Stolas' father to be playmates with Stolas, but he also told Blitz to basically say, steal everything for us. And it's kind of mentioned that Blitz's mom might be sick at this point, because she's not in the picture, but yeah, he's holding it over him don't you want your mother to be better off? So we get a little bit of the childhood of Blitz and Stolas. We get to see the beginnings of Stolas getting ready to be responsible for the astrology part. But he's also been given over to Stella. They already set up the marriage this early. and they go to the circus to try to like, hey, you may be like, he was hyped for his responsibilities and his birthday, but hearing that he was going to be given to this rageaholic of a girl, he felt bad. He met Blitz, started to like get interested. His father bought him to like shut him up, and he gets even further interested. And so when he shows up, we get to see like before like they were getting to the point of the affair. Stolas is like, hey, I remember you. Do you remember me? Like, they trying to do the more childhood friend kind of aspect, but it got pretty like quickly into the sexual tensions. It also shows more that Stella, just like after the birth of Octavia, she just badmouthed Stolas. We might be married, but I don't care a thing for him. And that's kind of just like setting up the like more background for Blitz, giving a reason for him and Stolas' relationship, and then giving Stolas more background of why he is where he is, and showing that Stolas, like Beelzebub, is on a more like socially understandable. Like he can get along with them, but he still has a social ladder to keep up. Episode 2, they don't have the names in the thumbnails. Seeing Stars. Basically, during Octavia's youth, she is promised to see a meteor shower. Azeroth's Tears, I think, is what it was called. And when the day comes around, Stolas and Stella are in the midst of their divorce. So things are like getting there's an adjustment period right now. So Stolas is going to be very busy for it, but Octavia feels sad, so she goes to the living world to kind of come across it, but she says the wrong things and goes to Hollywood to see stars. And basically, she snuck into IMP to get the book to go to the living world. This pisses off Stolas. He has IMP and him go to the living world. Stolas gets back into the mood of like he mentions the disguises and is like, you need to be more careful because you can get us in trouble. But yet he's still worried about his daughter for the most episode, and it's kind of more of a bond building between Octavia and Stolas for this one, where it's just like Stolas is dealing with the fallout of the affair and the divorce, but yet he wants to be there for his daughter. And then there's also a little bit of Luna build up, where like Luna only cares for herself for most of the episode, but once she realizes that she can help Blitz a little bit by finding Octavia, she kind of gets empathetic with Octavia, just like, yes, I understand that you feel alone, but your dad is trying. Even mine might be weird, but he still tries. And then in the beginning part of this episode, it shows that her attitude might be offending clients for IMP, and he wants to possibly Blitz might want to replace her as secretary. And his entire arc for the episode is, do I really want to replace my daughter in this kind of form? And Luna believes that he's just trying to replace her, period, as daughter. Not just secretary, but replace her, period. And we get to see a little flashback of when Blitz went to get a hellhound and first adopted Luna and found out that she was alone. She was most likely going to get put down because she was going to be of that adult age. Or she would be by herself. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was one or the other. I know she was approaching adulthood, so that they were going to either have to kick her out or put her down. It was one of the two, and Blitz was like, she's got no one else. Same as me, I have no family, no friends, so he kind of is like, he sympathizes and gets her. Episode 3, let me go ahead and look the title up. X's and O's. It's basically Millie and Moxie have an ex that they share. I forgot what his Chaz, and he's basically a Chad. Nothing very good about him. Nothing really to say about him. Nothing very notable about him. All he is a douche that takes advantage of people because he does look all rightish in eyes. But he betrayed both Moxie and Millie's trust. And while that's kind of a background story, it's more of Moxie's background story. We get a flashback about him growing up. He is a part of the Greed Rings mafia party, and his mom was basically the hope that he was building up to. Just she's the reason why he's got a morally gray standard, because she was the nice person. She didn't want him to kill. She didn't want him to be part of the mob. But his father, Crimson, who was the leader of the mob, wanted to take every opportunity to put him in, like, you have a job to do it. And it's very, it's not said, but it is like hinted at that because of Moxie's mom trying to intervene in his bringing up, Crimson probably has her killed. And after losing his mom and feeling like his father's forcing his hand to be a part of the mob, he's scared of him. But the second he gets betrayed from Chaz, who was just a part of the mob, when he first entered properly in the family, they start dating. Of course, Crimson is, I think homophobic is the right word to say. And we learn that Moxie is bisexual, because he's got a wife and he dated Chaz. But Crimson only sees him as gay because it's one or the other for him. But anyways, after Chaz, him and Moxie have a bad break during robbing a bank, I think it was. Moxie gets caught, but Chaz takes the money and runs, and it gets Moxie arrested. But this is how him and Blitz run into each other, and he hires Moxie here. And this gives him the out he needed from the mob, and he runs away to have his own life. But now Crimson finds out what he's been doing, hires them to show up, but anyways, it's just to have Moxie there so he can marry Chaz, which Chaz fakes that he has money so that the mob has money to be funded. But Millie has a whole problem with this. That's her husband. And she basically says, screw you, Crimson, my husband, my ass, I'll take him. And then they kill Chaz because of him lying. And it sets up that Crimson will come back for revenge later on. Moving on to episode 4. This is just the return of Stryker. Him trying to kill Stolas. Moxie and Millie are the saviors, but they don't do much. I mean, there's that little there's like that weird like, hey, you like put us down and betrayed our trust. And then Blitz and Luna are doing a little vet visit for hellhound shots. The whole part of this one is mostly showing to Blitz that if he's not careful, Stolas can get hurt, and because of him getting hurt in the end of this, it makes Blitz emotionally vulnerable to show off that he does care for Stolas, but he doesn't know how to show it. He's damaged goods, and that's really all it is just, hey, this enemy returns, different voice actor, kind of shows off how egotistically boosted he is. But it sets up for Blitz to need to do something. Episode 5 is basically Moxie and Millie's relationship falling out because while Moxie is backed up by Millie, like in the beginning I said, she will glaze him all day, every day. But when he keeps, ignoring her ideas, ignoring what she thinks is best, she flips on him. It's just like, so I've been emotionally supportive and physically supportive of everything you've ever done, but you won't do anything for me. And it basically sets them up, but at the very end, he's like, he apologizes, they make up, but I think it puts a little bit of shade in their relationship, is that, well, they look perfect for one another, they do have their problems that can be brought up. Episode 6, even though this is shown to be like a Fizz being returned as a villain, this is more of like, hey, Oz and Fizz are hypocrites. They are in love. And this is more of a backstory that sometime in their teens, Fizz and Blitz are, they're still best friends, but on Fizz's birthday, Blitz actually is in love with Fizz and wants to reveal to Fizz, but he double takes and makes an accident happen where a fire happens. It kills his sister. It injures him and his sister, and it gets Blitz to where, Fizz loses his limbs and his horns due to an explosion. So not only does Blitz lose family because of this, and Barbie Wire from last episode, which is revealed to be the whole reason why they're there, she absolutely hates him and blames him for everything that happened. For the death of the mother, for what they lost. She blames him. And Fizz blames him for leaving him behind. Like, he comes across him, but instead of helping, he runs for help, but never returns, and this leaves him to possibly die. So he doesn't care for him, but it has him set up to be a cyborg. But it kind of shows that they still care for one another, but it's just the fact that it is possible that Blitz's father was pulling strings and trying to make them both hate one another by saying to one another that they didn't want to see one another. And they realized this. They tried to be friendly. We have the return of Crimson and Stryker in this one. But they fail ultimately, and there's yet another fire that makes Fizz think he's about to be left behind, but Blitz saves him. And basically it sets up a whole thing of like Blitz finally being able to repair relationships he ruined in the past. Episode 7, I had to block this out because I couldn't find a proper thumbnail to cover this episode. So I had to go online, and they had a watermark of their channel on it, so I had to block it out. Anyways, this is mostly like part 2 of episode 6, where it's just like Fizz back in their teenage years before the accident. He really liked Mammon, which is the sin for greed. He runs a show as a clown and is like a stand-up kind of person. And he basically is like, okay, everyone, I will be hiring a clown, and we'll be doing events where just like every year you'll have a chance to possibly be employed by me and become popular for being partnered with me. And basically Fizz really wants it. He sees Mammon as his hero. After the accident, he goes for the event. He wins. He becomes like the marketing piece for Mammon. And throughout most of this episode is Blitz trying to put the idea that Fizz can do whatever he wants without having a figure like Mammon having his back. Oz is showing that even without all this popularity and all that, he will still be with and be in a relationship with Fizz. And it's basically just building relationships without standards, basically. We can be friends without you having to be something or do something. And then basically at the end of this episode, Fizz and Ozzy are revealed to be in love, and it's confirmed to the general public. And then Mammon is set up to be like, hey, like, I was getting a lot of money through Fizz, and you took that away from me, so I'm coming for you. Another thing we didn't really get to answer for is, it may have been confirmed off the episodes, but there's a pair of twins from, oh gosh, it's this. I think it's the Sin. I can't remember. It's like a water-based, like trying to remember what it is. It's like a deep sea critter with fins and stuff. It's a ring we haven't really investigated much about, but they come to be circus twins, and they lose to Fizz, but yet he retires, so they should technically be hired if they survive. That's the thing, is they may have died, but yet they could be an enemy through Mammon later on. It's also mentioned, hey, now that Fizz is an opening for Oz. Moving on, I couldn't find a decent thing for Full Moon, because of the different sizings of thumbnails and all that. This is from the song that prequels it, and it's basically, this one is kind of just like, the song is like, Stolas is wanting to set up that he wants a relationship with Blitz, and he wants to give Blitz an ultimatum, a decision. And at the end of last episode, I think it was last episode. Yeah, last episode. Stolas reaches out to Asmodeus, like, hey, I want a crystal so Blitz can legally do his job without my book. And I want to give that olive branch to him. And basically, through the song, it's like, I will give him the opportunity to be with me, but if he doesn't want to do it, we can separate, we can go our own ways. He can have his business with this crystal, and I can continue knowing my answer, or we can be an item, but he will still get his crystal, and we won't be in trouble with the law if anything happens, no matter what. So it's kind of an ultimatum between their relationship, and making sure that from that point on, anything that happens, Blitz will not be in trouble for any further actions. In episode 8, I didn't mention it before switching to this. Stolas gets his answer. Basically, Blitz thought yes, he wants the relationship, but for the most part, he just saw it as a sexual gratification. He wanted to go over the top to try to convince Stolas to continue. He feels that they're falling out, so he wants to kind of correct it. So he even goes to Fizz for help. But when he hears that, like, yes, he's going to get a crystal, and there's a possibility that he won't be having that relationship with Stolas anymore, he thinks he's trying to make him a slave or, like, high class him. But because of his the way he was raised by his father, of like blue blood, which is like royal blood, does not care for you, they will step on you, and basically he has this preset mind of like, he's only out for sex, he only wants to use me, and that's like a back and forth problem. And then when Blitz is all done with his like giant emotional outburst, he realizes that Stolas was trying to be genuine and sends him away. Episode 9, Apology Tour. Basically, it's just everyone. Blitz is all his exes. Stolas, like, he goes to Stolas to semi-apologize, but for the most part, it's like he doesn't he's like, either we can continue it or screw you. And Stolas is like, unless you gave me a proper answer and apologized, I don't want nothing to do with you. Goodbye. And he's invited to a X party by Veronica Mayday, and Veronica kind of was like, all right, everyone who's ever been affected by Blitz relationship-wise can come here, have a little bit of emotional baggage loss. And it's like people can meet one another there. Like there's a few couple that meet one another, and through the hatred of Blitz, they can bond. There's a few people who are like emotionally troubled by being betrayed by Blitz in terms of that. We see someone after like playing a game of like throwing the knife at the board that looks like Blitz, he breaks down. Well, they break down. I don't want to. But they break down, and they're emotionally it's an emotional problem that Blitz sees this, and he starts to feel bad, and he sees that he's doing the wrong. His concepts are bad, even for hell beings. And then Vraska finally reveals that it wasn't just Blitz out of nowhere doing it. It's just like the second she tells Blitz that she loves him is when Blitz decides to, all right, the relationship is getting too deep. It's making it's either a relationship or not. I need to completely get away from it. And that's when it just breaks her heart, and Vraska's like, I hate your guts, but you make me feel bad for hating you. And Blitz is like, yes, I properly apologize for who I am and what I've done to you, but I don't know what I can really do at this point. So his only option was to walk away and let things do their own thing, which it's weird. We didn't get to figure out what happened with that imp. At the very end, Stolas starts to dance and mingle with another imp that looks pretty decent himself, but we never get to see that guy ever again. Moving on to probably my second favorite episode. Let me go ahead and look up the thing. It is Ghost Effers. Ghost Having Funners. Basically, after the falling out between Stolas, Blitz gets into an emotional dump where he starts like putting his company into bankruptcy. He starts emotionally spending to get a metaphorical revenge on Stolas, and he's in a little bit of a lazy / depressed mood. It's starting to affect everyone else. Millie basically chooses a job to take Moxie out, Blitz out, and Blitz is in a ghost hunter craze. And they come across another Hellspawn who's been killing by using a hotel as a facade, and I think he is I forgot what kind of demon he is. Basically, he can go into your mind, he can screw around with you, and he's a very strong demon for just a normal Hellspawn. And he puts a very good fight up for Blitz and Millie until they start fighting back and all that. And it's more of just Millie showing her backstory of after the farm she wanted to be an assassin because that's all that was really she knew, because she's a Rathian. And then she kind of had this mentality of we're imps, we're only meant to be pawns for other people. But Blitz coming to her after I think Moxie notices her and her potential. Blitz comes to hire her, gives her the job. At first she's like, there's no way you're here on your own accord and you're here for someone else. But she gets a job that's imps. She falls in love with Moxie. She shows that she can be something else and be her own person without being under someone else than just a job. And she sees Blitz as her rock, her her best friend, and is the reason why she has the life that she is in love with. And then she is a way for Blitz to get a second to breathe, to kind of get back into a better mindset. While he doesn't fully recover at the end of this episode, he like takes what him and Vraska were talking about being a better hellspawn, not a better person, because you're still gonna be crummy in hell. But anyways, he starts to like back off them. He's like, I was jealous of what you guys had. The fact that I had never had anyone that didn't end in a sexual favor, or just a one-off one night thing, and it kind of leaves them on a staircase up, and then we go straight to this episode, which it is Mastermind. Basically, this entire time, Stella has a brother that wants to take Stolas' position and like everything he has from him, and they've been trying to look for something, but they never have anything on him. Stella has never said the deal that Blitz and Stolas had in the first episode, where, hey, we do sexual favors, you get to keep the book, as long as I keep doing my responsibilities, you can have it. Because that's illegal from what episode 1 said, and a few times Stolas is like, what are you doing? Every time you do something wrong, it will reflect badly on me as well. You need to be careful. This is the fallout. This is finally everything. It's the climax. Everything is starting to just blow up in everyone's faces. Stella tells her brother. He goes and tells the Sins about what happened. The authorities come down on IMP, basically stealing a Goetic heirloom, taking a very something that is very important, and then also messing with Stolas' life, and putting everything like the divorce on Blitz and his company, and then they bring Stryker in just to say that Stryker was hired by Blitz to attempt to kill Stolas, and for the most part it's just like all these things are building up to get IMP killed. We get introduced to the other two Sins. We see a reference to Lucifer. We get to meet Satan. He reveals that he is the one who created IMP. He's the law, like this says. We see one of the other we see a lot of the Goetians, but we get to meet a Hispanic one, because I think he's speaking Spanish, and he's more on the side of Stolas in most of the arguments. Because it's like, this is not fair. We're talking about this stuff that has Stolas to do with it, but you're not going to bring him in. And for the most part, it's kind of just showing other characters that were in the background that we've heard about, but we never get to see. It's basically, we get to see the monarchy as a whole and kind of how they go about things. And right before they're about to kill off IMP, Blitz says, hey, they are employees. Leave them be. They're only doing their job. And then Stolas comes in and says, everything that's been said and done is me. So Stolas takes the brunt of the punishment. This saves everyone's lives. But because there still needs to be something done, they strip him of his title, his responsibilities, his powers. And to add on to it, they give Stella full guardianship over Octavia, which means Stolas has absolutely nothing after this episode except for Blitz, who is finally willing to show his emotional side to Stolas after showing emotion after the last 2 episodes, being sorry what he's left behind him, and then last episode showing that it affected him a lot, and because he didn't want to say anything properly, he it's one of those what's the phrase, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And he's like, now that I have a chance to get it back, I want to try it, even though it's a bad timing. He does it. Kind of the same thing with all the other people. Millie being best friends from last episode with Blitz, being friends from the Truth Seekers episode, with Millie, with Moxie. Basically having 2 friends. Luna starts like saying dad and all the time for Blitz. She's not hiding their relationship anymore. She's just like, I almost lost my dad. I can't keep being the attitude anymore. Like, yes, she's still gonna be the way she is, but she's more open about being the daughter of Blitz. And then, we get what just released, and it was perfect timing. The 25th image, and was only a few days before Christmas. We get Sinsmas, which basically is just, I think within 24 hours of last episode, Stolas realizes that he didn't get to contact Via after the announcement of him being stripped of his power. Blitz, I forgot to mention during last episode's explanation, the M-Kind is going to start looking up to Blitz for being the first person to set up a business, to do all this stuff to give them a leg up in society, as it were, or to at least give them something to look up to. And then because now Stolas has no title, no power, any other lower Hellspawn can do anything to him because he's not backed by the royalties. So anyways, this episode within 24 hours, he went to go contact Via, but because of Stellagine guardianship, they block all contacts to her. Stolas goes through a whole rainbows of emotions of anger, sadness. He's trying to adjust to, I think within a month's time, he's trying to adjust to being, he's now the lowest of the low because he's getting treated poorly by even imps. So by all means, he is the lowest of the low in terms of the social ladder. He's getting used to having to wait at the end of a line at a grocery store, having to do his own laundry, having to eat whatever they can get a hold of. He can't just get someone to go and make whatever he wants anymore. And then in this image, it's shown that he didn't realize that he had no money. He's got literally nothing. For the most thing, it's Blitz is still in a mood. He's trying to be the rock for Stolas here. He's trying to give Stolas, because he's I'm willing to be in a relationship with you. Try to at least there's one thing you can look happy on. Luna is openly still being the daughter of Blitz, still being a little teenaging angst. Moxie, for the most part, takes a pretty back seat to this episode. He glazes up Millie a little bit. But here's the point that, okay, so before I get to my favorite, not my favorite point, the most mysterious point of this episode, basically, they finally go to, Stolas goes to get Via, but Via, going on a whole, I miss my dad tangent, she comes across the happy pills, which is, antidepressants for him, and basically he's did you just not care? There has not been a talking point. Apparently, ever since episode 2, where he didn't have the words to tell, episode 2 of Lululand, they were he was trying to explain what's wrong between him and her mother, but he never talked about it, apparently. And basically she doesn't give him time to explain, and she kind of blames herself that he's been depressed and he's got nothing happy to look forward to. And even though he's like, you are the happiest thing that has came out of me being a royal. That's the only thing, you were the only thing that I was living for. But she sees that the second that he's willing to give up everything for an imp of all things, she gets, she rejects everything that he's trying to say. Which of course makes that they will probably not be in a father-daughter talking point until the end of season 3. And it bottoms out for Stolas. He's lost everything, and now he can't even though he is willing to go to the lengths to talk to his daughter's not willing to accept him. And that's kind of like the end of the episode. Stolas is like, Blitz is starting to do what Moxie did in episode 1 with Murder Family, where he's like, he sees a family that could be reflective of him and Stolas making their little family work. And then we get into the most mysterious thing. Millie, of all things. Let's see here. Bloop. I'm trying to... There we go. I will exit out of this. Millie turns out to be Preggers. And it's like hinted through most of the episode. Let's see here. So she's moody. She is here. She throws up. Morning sickness. Very possible. No. Go ahead and play your stupid ad. So she's got emotional wavering. She's throwing up. The biggest point is she like explodes on Moxie here. And he takes notice of it. Like, yes, I know Sin's Miss is basically their version of Christmas, but they like put more into their sinful nature during that time. And anyways, she basically kind of like blows up, gets emotional, is starting to get sickly, and then here, right before we get the Preggers test, we get her trying to hide and bury the what's most likely the packaging for the pregnancy test. She goes and tries to talk to Sally Mae about it, and here's where I'm coming from. Well, yes, hold on. You'd think, I don't know what happened there. It's like, it felt like mucus went down my throat and it was sharp. You'd think from like the build-up of most of the show that Moxie and Millie, they'd probably be looking forward to being parents because of their relationship. But of course, there's like episode 6 where like when Barbie Wire was at the end, the summer camp one, they're strained. They are like, yes, they make out and all that, and but the thing is they're still strained, and she might be thinking otherwise. I mean, for the most part, she like says that she loves him and all that, but the issue I have is that she starts breaking down and says she doesn't know what to do. And for the most part, I can kind of see, like, in their scenario, they just, like, last episode, a month ago from when this is noticed, so she's probably 2 weeks pregnant at this point. It's like a few weeks in, you'll get your body starts to recognize that you are. So within a month from them almost getting executed, the company isn't doing so well probably. Oh, that's a nice little thing. It like a mammon head top, and then well, that's understandable, but flowers that Stolas normally keeps over. It's a bad situation, so maybe she feels like they're not in a good scenario to have a kid right now. But the thing that I think is right here, after saying she loves Moxie and reaffirming that the relationship is real, the second that he is in front of her and not looking at her, she looks down in shame. This is a very shameful look. So, at worst, and I'm just saying this is a theory, but it is highly a thing that maybe during their fallout or one of the little episodes of them being emotional, maybe she went behind his back. Maybe something has happened with someone else. So it's very possible that the baby isn't his. Maybe that's what it is. Like, because she's pushing that she loves him a lot when she notices that she's pregnant. Like, it feels like she's got like a guilty conscience going on. So it's very possible that we're having her like hint that, yes, I love my husband, but I've wronged him in a sense. So my theory is that she had an affair, and during like a momentary emotional depression, where she just needed to have something different to kind of change things up, and now on that one occasion she's pregnant, and maybe that's why. We don't fully understand. So I think we'll figure out. I think it can either be that she cheated or that it's just. I'm hoping, but it still doesn't explain why she's so emotional. Them being in a bad patch with IMP being almost bankrupt a month ago, them being brought in, not to mention they have a Goetic air around them that will be targeted by multiple people. So she might be feeling like it's not a good point to be pregnant right now. She doesn't want the idea of like, now that she's pregnant, this baby might be in danger. Maybe, this might, because I don't know. I don't think we've ever got into how Hellspawn work with their pregnancies, but during human pregnancy, you got to take a time off, or you might have to slow down on things. So maybe because she isn't active, she might be scared that during her pregnancy, people might get hurt without her being around. So it's either the scenario that they're not making enough money to have a kid right now, maybe that she's cheated, and then a weird thing that it would be just like maybe she isn't ready. Maybe that's just the thing. Maybe she doesn't feel ready to have a kid with Moxie, or maybe she might be in a confused state right now. But it's just weird that she was the spirit of the team. She was the one that was like, I love my husband. My best friend is my boss. I can get along with the boss's daughter. She tries her best even though she doesn't show it. It's like right now they're starting to be the best they are, and the things that she's spoke on is coming to fruition. Things are actually getting done about what she's mentioned to them. But the issue is now she's having a problem, and is this going to be something that breaks them apart? Because maybe we get a full-on IMP breakup. Because, bankruptcy, they've got bad eyes on them. They got a lot of targets on their back. They made a lot of enemies. I think at this point, for the most part, they have a lot of backing. They have two sins that are willing to stand up for them in a court. Like, sins that are some of the most powerful beings. One is like friends with the daughter of the main boss, and the boss's best friend is the lover of them. So it's just, it's very confusing. I think this is going to be a mystery that a lot of people are going to be waiting for explaining in season 3. Like, yes, what's with the holy necklaces from the third short. When are we going to see any more of these sins? We've only seen the appearance of 2 of the sins. I don't think Satan's going to play a big role in any other thing. I think this was, in the last episode, that was his moment of just, I am the law, I am the boss, I'm the one who will say the last thing. I don't think he will show up in anything, because he looks like he's the final destination on the process. So I think he won't be a plot point. But you have Manon, who might be coming for them. Crimson might be coming for them. At this point, they really need to kill Stryker. Because they were supposed to kill him in the Western Energy, I think it was. I feel like they should have killed him there. They even showed that there was a storyboard where he did die to his own statue. But he got away, and it paid off because he showed up and was a defensive point, which got thrown away pretty quickly thanks to Stolas. But there's like a few things that like we haven't seen these people do anything. Like we might have seen them pop up every now and again. But like with the sheriffs and the government people, it's just like they're constant threats now. So we're waiting. Maybe season 3 will be the enemies coming for IMP finally. Now that we have holy gear for the cherubs, the government, so most of the nations probably know about the demons. We have some of the sins probably going against them, Goetias, the public because they're supporting a blue blood. I think we're going to see if you guys watched Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, I'd like to say really quickly, if you want to hear Ladybug cuss and be out of pocket, Vroska Mayday, her introduction episode, that is the same voice actor for Marinette / Ladybug. There's that thing, but I wanted to mention it because in season 3, basically they threw the whole bus at you. Chat Blanc, the dark parts of the episodes. I think season 3 of this show is going to be our hard-hitting stuff. Like we've met a lot of stuff, but we got Millie pregnant. We got a bunch of a lot of the relationships are getting built better. But I think the things that are set up, we have puzzle pieces across the first 2 seasons in these these shorts, that there's a high chance that we're going to see more of them. Trying to figure out anything else I think we're probably not going to see anything until the summer for season 3. I think we might get a short or 2 to kind of fill in the time. But I don't think we're going to see anything past this episode for a little while. I forgot how long it took us to get from season 1 to season 2. Oh, one last thing I did want to mention. Oh, not you. It's right next to... Oh, come on. I just said no. What was it? What was I thinking? Let's see here. I'm trying to remember what I was going to mention. I'll be right back. Okay, I remembered. This episode, I think, was going through a lot of news. So this was episode 10, I believe. Ghost Effers. So I guess there was a storyboard that was released by other people of the team that got in trouble for doing so. Um, don't quote me, but I believe they were. It was revealed that the entire in this episode, it was only Millie and Blitz to kind of give Blitz a chance to get away from his emotional side, and get a reason to get back into work mode, and kind of give Millie a way to get her express herself a little bit and get a little bit back into her backstory. But I think in the storyboard, if I remember correctly, they were trying to bring in the entire team for it. They showed a Moxie and Millie were there, Luna was there, and I think it was supposed to be one of the darkest episodes that they were planning on, because in Moxie and Millie were put on a chandelier, and it was like a hanging game of trying to get in their heads to end it all. So it's just with Moxie is just you are worthless in terms of things, knocking on Millie about hey, you are nothing but an imp, doing what he was trying to do when he was in Blitz's body, but he was just trying to jump back and forth between the two to have the other one jump. It would probably affect both of them in the end. But they then Blitz and Luna come in to get into a fight with him. He still shows his power, and he is able to fight back. He starts messing with Blitz. But Luna, I think Luna, this would have been her I'm a real MF in this scenario. She rips him apart. I think if I remember, it was he got distracted and just Luna ripped into him and then ripped him to pieces. It was yes, I like what happened, but it's a hell show, and that would have been a very cool scene to see. Yes, it's a little dark for what they were doing with Moxie and Millie, but Blitz coming in to get his heroic moment back, getting Luna a chance to show off how she can really be in a fight without weapons and all that, and how truly powerful her jaw power is. Just that would have been cool to see, but I understand. But yeah, anyways, that was my last little bit of talking points. Like I said, my ending point is just Millie's pregnancy is probably going to be my reason for watching season 3. Is I cannot wait to figure out, because she won't be able to hide it for long as she they should probably still get a stomach. So eventually, either she's got to make a decision behind Moxie's back, and give up on the kid, or she's gonna have to talk to him pretty quickly, because they can't keep skipping time because in these ones it's few months, few weeks. As long as she does a normal pregnancy like humans, she's gonna start showing, and unless she's gonna play it off as not doing a good diet, which they're not gonna do that, because no one's gonna believe that. I mean, Blitz might, but I don't think Moxie will. But it's just I believe either we're gonna have her do a decision without Moxie getting told about it, and it's gonna damage their relationship, or she's gonna have to say something, and if it comes out that she's a cheater, it's gonna way damage. It's weird. So it's either she's gonna have to give up on the kid, or she's gonna have to continue, and she doesn't like the scenario they're in, or she's cheated. All ways, except I think the best thing for a medium hit would be she doesn't like the scenario, so she might want to move on, or she's gonna have to try to overhaul the characters to do better so that they get in better situation. But yeah, I'm not hyped, because it's very big drama, but it's just like the implications are like make my mind run like, oh man, I can't wait to figure out the story because it's killing me. The curiosity is killing the cat right now. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.